Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. Today we're going to be conducting our review to see if you qualify to be considered for the recognition of prior learning benefit. So we'll be going through some different types of documentation from your current employment, as well as asking you some questions to see if you have enough knowledge surrounding creating simple documents. I'd also like to take this time to inform you about our not yet competent and complaints and appeals process, which is what a student can do if they are unsatisfied with the results they receive after reviewing their assessment task.
Okay, great.
I will also be observing your ability to demonstrate foundation skills and requirements for reading, oral communication, self-management and use of technology. I'll also need to see some ID just to make sure.
Not a problem.
Talking to Joanne.
You are?
Thank you. Do you have any questions of your own before we begin?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm great to start. If I have, I'll certainly let you know.
Okay. So tell me about the type of documents you create in your job and what they are and who they are for.
Okay, I create a variety of different documents within my job. These include enrolment forms, responding to emails from parents or organisations, reviewing quality improvement plan documents for our upcoming assessment and rating, reviewing and updating policies. That's just a few of them.
Okay, that's good. For one of your documents, tell me how you determine your audience, purpose and requirements for your document according to organisational policies and procedures.
When completing enrolment forms, these are created mainly for the office and admin use, so we know the children that are going to be attending our service. In order to enrol a new child into our service, we must have the following information contained within an enrolment form. There's 27 sections the parent or the caregiver needs to complete. Do you want me to read them out or do you want me to show you the document?
Read them out for now, but I'll grab the document off you at the end of our interview.
Okay, so the full names of the parents or the person legally responsible for the care of the child, residential address, place of employment and contact telephone number, each parent's occupation, the full name, residential address and contact telephone number of a person or persons authorised by the parent who may be contacted in case of an emergency concerning the child if a parent is unable to be contacted, so an authorised nominee. The full name, address and contact telephone number of any person authorised by the parent to collect the child from the service, so the authorised nominee. The full name of the child's date of birth, the child's birth certificate or passport, the child's residency status, the child's address, the gender of the child, the cultural background of the child, provision of care, if care will be a routine and or casual, etc. Complying written agreement including fee information, immunisation history statement, any court orders or parenting agreements regarding the child, the primary language of the child spoken at home, if the child has not learnt to speak the child's family language, any special requirements of the family, including, for example, cultural or religious requirements, the individual needs of a child with a disability or with other additional needs, a statement indicating parental permission for any medications to be administered to the child while at our service, authorisation and signature by parent or authorised person for the approved provider, nominated supervisor or educator to seek, medical treatment for the child from a registered practitioner, hospital or ambulance service, transportation of the child by an ambulance service. Also the child's Medicare number, specific healthcare needs of the child including allergies and intolerances, any medical management plan for a specific severe healthcare need, medical condition or allergy such as anaphylaxis emergency management plan or risk minimisation plan, details of any dietary restrictions for the child, the name, address and telephone number of the child's doctor, authorisation for regular occurring transportation and regular outings or excursions, and the CRN for child and claimant. All of this information is extremely important to have, as without it, staff members within the rooms wouldn't know vital information about the child they are educating.
Very good. For one of your documents, tell me how you determined the required format, style and structure.
Okay, so I'll talk about enrolment forms again. So for enrolment forms, we use a template that was made to ensure all of the points I mentioned before were included. We made this template as a team to make sure all of the points we needed to have within the document were included. We did this by looking at other enrolment form examples and that other centres had created, and then made one that suited our centre and the information that we actually wanted. I brought a copy of our enrolment form with me. I couldn't bring one that had been filled out already, obviously, as this would break our Privacy Act as well as our Code of Conduct, so I filled this one out using information on a child that doesn't even exist. As you can see at the top of the form, it includes all of the child's information, as we thought this would be more relevant than the parents being at the top, as when we are looking through an enrolment form, it's usually to gather information on the child. Next on the form is the mother's information and then the father's. This includes their names, births, dates, phone number and address. Next in the list is emergency contact information for if both the mother and father are unreachable in the case of an emergency. We've left space for 3, but they are able to include more if they would like to. After these comes the days the child will be attending, as well as the estimated time of the drop-off and pick-up, to help with times we have staff rostered on and off.
Makes sense. So by the sounds of it, you guys have tried to make the information within the enrolment form begin with the information that is the most relevant or the most needed, down to the information that isn't always the first thing an educator might look for.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
And after that comes the medical information. Here, parents or caregivers will include any allergies, intolerances, long-term medication or special dietary requirements that are relevant to their child. And then on the final page, we have the permission section where the family can read through and select what they do and do not consent to in terms of social media, photos, excursions, different types of creams, Panadol, and the administration of first aid in the case of an emergency. Then below that, as you can see, if the collection agreement, which just means they have permission to collect the child in the parent's absence, they will need to show some ID at the reception and to the educators within the room, just to show they are who they say they are. The last thing on the form is the child's cultural background, as well as some signatures that are required by the person completing the form.
Makes sense. That's great. Thank you for outlining all of that so clearly. For one of your documents, tell me how you established the correct method of communication.
In order to ensure all paperwork is filled out correctly, we make sure that we go through the form with the parents before they take it home and fill it out. We have an example of a form on file for families to take home with them if they feel as though they need some extra support. When returning the form, we read through what the families have written together, so that if there are any mistakes, they can correct them on the spot. They don't have to go back and forward.
Yeah. Okay, for one of your documents, tell me how you established key points to be included within that document.
Another document I need to make lots of is emails. There's a few different types of emails we send. These include enrolment forms, promotions and discounts, new program launches, improvement updates, community involvement and charity updates, feedback email, and newsletters.
Mm-hmm.
All of these emails follow a similar formatting. We establish key points within this document by following this format in this order. Subject line, invite a friend, get a week free. Greeting, dear parents.
Mm-hmm.
The main point, refer to a friend, centre name, and when they enrol, you'll receive a full week or free tuition.
Mm-hmm.
Closing paragraph should be interesting to encourage parents to continue reading the whole email. Parents often ask us how they can support our centre. This is one of the best ways. You help us grow with families just like yours, and we make sure to say thank you in return.
Mm-hmm.
Wanting to refer someone, just reply with their name and take care of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Conclusion, sign off. Thanks for being part of our community. Your childcare centre name. Following this format allows the email to stay to the point and remain at a decent length. We find if the emails we write contain too much information, parents are less inclined to read them. Instead, we write a fewer shorter paragraphs that allow us to include the key points.
Mm-hmm.
Then at the end of the email, if parents would like some more information, they are encouraged to talk to the centre management, like myself.
Mm-hmm. Very good. For one of your documents, tell me how you develop the draft document to communicate key points.
Being in a higher management position means there are quite a few meetings. I not only have to attend, but also host. Sometimes the approved provider will coordinate these meetings, but as a centre director, it is usually entrusted to me to ensure all staff members are informed on all information that concerns them. In order to ensure that all points are covered in the meeting, I like to have a document that covers the key points that need to be covered.
Mm-hmm.
When making these documents, I first write down all of the points I would like to address within the meeting in a Google document. Below these points, I leave space to ensure I am able to write the comments made by educators, as well as the result when the topics are brought up. The reason I choose to use a Google document is because I'm able to add in the room coordinators as well as any other individual I'd like to be able to add points to the meeting. This way I don't have to add it in for them. I have brought a draft copy of the document with me if you'd like to go through it.
Thank you. Once we've finished all the questions, I'll get you to forward me an email that has been sent out to parents, as well as look through both the enrolment form and the meeting agenda you've created. So just send me those through an email and I'll have a look at them. How did you ensure your draft met the purpose and requirements for the document?
I make sure the draft document meets the requirements of the document by proofreading the notes made throughout the meeting and fixing any spelling mistakes or grammar issues. Once the draft document looks correct, I take it to my approved provider to look through before printing it out and adding it to our meetings folder. Once the document has been proofread and edited, it is then shared with all staff members so they can refer to it if they are unsure about any of the topics brought up in the meeting.
That makes sense. Did you have to obtain and include any additional required information in your draft document? If you did, what was it and why?
No additional information needed to be included within the document. All points that needed to be addressed were addressed, and all spelling mistakes and missed information from throughout the meeting was added once the meeting had ended. My supervisor went through the notes and said they were fine and ready to print. This document is then sent off to all the members of staff.
Mm-hmm. In your workplace, are there any documents that you must have a supervisor or colleague, for example, proofread before you can send them?
Yes, the above document must be checked before it is sent off to staff members. Other items that the approved provider also needs to check are grocery lists, any items that need to be bought like craft supplies or office supplies, any finance information such as pay increases for staff members, any new policies or procedures.
What changes did you have to make to one of your documents? Discuss how you ensured those changes were correct and that the document was checked again before it was finalised.
When we were creating our enrolment forms when the centre first opened in 2018, we actually forgot to include a space for the child's culture, and the medical information section was at the back when it should have been placed on the front page of the document. Before finalising the document, the provider looked through the document and gave it the all clear.
Mm-hmm. How do you check your documents for spelling, grammar and punctuation issues?
At my centre, we use Grammarly to help with any punctuation, spelling and grammar mistakes. We find it picks up more corrections than just using the auto correction tool that comes with the Word documents and Google Documents.
What is your process for ensuring your document is readable and that the sentences, paragraphs, sequencing and structure of the document is correct?
Again, for this process, we usually use Grammarly. I also get my supervisor to read over the document to ensure that they think it sounds correct before processing it to where it needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
We also make sure we're following the format examples I mentioned before. This helps the individual writing the email or document know how it needs to be structured.
Right. What are 2 examples of your organisation's policy and procedures for written documents?
2 examples for these policies are the enrolment policy
Mm-hmm.
and the family communication policy.
Right. When would you use general emails in a work setting to communicate something and why?
We would use emails when communicating with families. We use emails as it's efficient, secure and simple to use.
Mm-hmm.
When communicating with staff, we tend to use our Microsoft Teams chat over email, as the app keeps everything in the one place and has lots of useful features.
Right. When would you use procedures to communicate something and why?
When communicating sensitive information to parents or educators, it's important to follow the policy relating to the topic being communicated. This is because if a parent or educator reacts in a negative way to what's being communicated, the staff member relaying the information has a procedure to follow that ensures their safety and professionalism.
Mm-hmm. When would you use business letters and why?
When enrolling a child into daycare, parents can choose to receive their enrolment forms via email or through the mail. We also have this option when sending out fees and invoices. We also use business letters when wanting to contact a company.
Mm-hmm. And last question, when would you use a meeting agenda and why?
As stated above, we use a meeting agenda when conducting either a staff or leadership meeting. We do this as it allows all members to contribute in one place and also ensures no points are missed in the meeting.
Thank you so much for answering those questions for me. Would I please be able to see the documents you brought with you today? The meeting agenda, email and the enrolment form. When you get a chance, just email me at britswriter@gmail.com.
Yep, of course. I actually did that before we started our meeting today.
Oh, well, that's all I'll need from you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Not a problem at all.